So Best Buy is now going to be reopening up more pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch. I don't know specifically how much you had to pay down on in order to get, some people say it's like maybe $20, but it's like a certain percentage of what the price is, because like last time I checked, Best Buy has like a different policy for pre-orders compared to like Walmart, Walgreens, or Target, or like stores that can sell stuff like that. But it's interesting though, because even with all these pre-orders, there's going to be so many people flooding it, especially now that there's a Nintendo Switch commercial that people have been waiting for, and it's even going to be in the Super Bowl, so even more people are going to want it now. Seeing how and it's not uncommon that, like I'm making news about this, and then like there's other people making news about this. So the idea is that if you were going to go to Best Buy and get your Nintendo Switch, if you haven't already, or some sort of pre-order, figure out which area is probably most likely to carry inventory. Like, call them up in advance and ask them and say, hey, you guys going to be carrying so many, like ask specific details, like, which stores are going to have a huge inventory, and are they expected to like just sell out immediately or something like that. And because a lot of people will definitely be flooding to get one of these as soon as they get the chance. I'm not going to get one on day one, but unless of course that new Pokemon game comes out for it, but unless of course that was just a rumor. But I'm still playing Sun and Moon, and I've been playing a lot of other games that haven't been translated or you probably never even heard of, so I'm good right now. But there's so many games out already, but especially if you leave no stone unturned. But but while we're at it though, the Nintendo Switch though, I want to know how many games are going to be on it. What do you guys think? You think that there's going to be a lot of like third-party games as well, and I'm not just talking about like remakes and let's say like not just imports, but like games that are not just exclusive, but like games that are just like there's like so many different kinds of games, like, and maybe a different number of them that rival maybe that of like maybe Sony and Microsoft, for example. Even like Sony always has like the most games in their library because there's so many people that are like, because their consoles are usually region free, and they that's another good question. Is the Wii Nintendo Switch going to be region free? I do not know that off the top of my head. If anybody knows that, please let me know. Region locked, because what that implies is that you either had to mod the console, and that's debatable, like, where Nintendo really, okay, if you buy a console, and you don't, like, there's, like, certain laws against it, but, like, at the same time, though, it's like, if you buy the product and you don't, like, go online with it to a degree, it's like, they can't really do anything to it, because, like, technically it's yours, and you're not really hacking into their servers, or something like that, I really don't really know, like, how they draw the line with that, but usually that's what happens when people region clock their consoles, if they decide to, is because they're trying to make it so that way certain games are. But the problem is though, like, some games are never released outside of Japan. I can tell you for a fact that there's a lot of good ones that were on 3DS, but the problem was though it was region locked, so I had to get a Japanese 3DS and an English one. So the problem is though, which are really cool, like when you think about it, like but the pre-orders though are. We don't really know how many games are going to be on the Nintendo Switch. I hope they make another. I swear, I hope they make another F-Zero game. That'd be awesome. Like, especially do like with the X Cup and all that, where like you could like essentially make your own courses and all that, customize your own characters, and then race with people online. That'd be awesome if Nintendo would just like make a generator, like like Mario Maker. They made like this development tool where people could make their infinite amount of levels in Mario Maker, and why not do the same thing with like F-Zero? Have people make their own custom courses, and people can play it. It would work. It would. It would it'd be even better than GX and X on the N64 and GameCube, and and like or like Nintendo just needs to. Like, if they really want to sell the Switch, like, I'm not saying they're going to, but they just really need to get people, like, really hyped about it. But, like, at the same time, though, they just have to really, like, push it out there. Not just show people what it's capable of doing, but, like, give people, like, all these customizations and, and I'm sure there will be a lot of good games. I mean, like I said, that Zelda game and that Mario game looks pretty good, but at the same time though, it's like I'm really curious, like what other games that have never been created before, like original ideas that no one's. Now, I really would like to know what kind of games that we'll find on the when the Switch comes out, because that's always the question everybody asks. What's the console capable of doing, and what's it going to do for the video game industry? I mean, sure, it'll make them money. I mean, hell, you could even argue that the Wii U wasn't really like as successful, but it still had really good games on it. Despite the fact that some people, the thing that kind of sucks about the Wii U is that it's gonna apparently because people say there's not too many of them. But now that they've disconnected the whole library, and people now the price is going to go up on it, at least in the United States, anyways. And some people have argued. I mean, again, I don't know. It's kind of too soon to really say for sure how it's going to affect it. But being that it's kind of rare, but it's not too rare. But it's some people have stated that now that they're canceling. That's what always happens with some of these consoles. Once they've hit specific, their deadline is dead, their prices usually start going up, or they start going down. But it could go both ways. Not really sure about the Wii U. I'm not really sure how they would figure that, but it's really interesting to think that you can really do anything if you really find enough advancements. But anyways, then the Best Buy is going to have the Switch. We'll have to wait and see what happens. And there will be other stores too, but there will probably be other people that are just going to want them just as well. So again, it's $300 US, and it's coming out on March 3rd. So be sure to get it as soon as you can, if you can, because the one thing here that I'm really stressing with this video, if you're still watching this, is that this is usually when Nintendo consoles sell. I mean, you might get one, but at the same time though, there's been some people that have been secretly canceling. Especially GameStop, and I mean, I personally don't like GameStop in a lot of ways, but especially when it comes to Nintendo consoles, not just GameStop, but it's possible that you could pay for a pre-order months in advance, and then many months later they'll somehow cancel that pre-order, and then they'll try and say we don't have it on record because they have too many of them, or they just scammed people at the time because maybe the paperwork wasn't completed or something like that. I don't know. How people do these stupid shady things, and other people just they try and say, well, we're going to sell out of them. But at the same time though, as far as the Switch goes, if it really is going to sell as well as it is, then who's to say how long? Because the problem is though with Nintendo is maybe they control the supply and demand, because maybe I mean, if they have a time where the Wii was selling well, for example, and they keep printing them out, but at the same time though, they try to control the supply and demand, or rather they'll print off so many of them, but if they decide to wait a while, the price could go up even further if it's not already $300. Or again, I don't know how they're gonna market this, especially when they start printing more of them. They'll probably, what I think is going to happen is they'll print them, and then as soon as they sell it, they'll print more of them, but they're going to try and keep that at $300, because here's the thing that it's kind of hard to put into words, but you really have to pay attention to exponential growth, meaning the profits of and the losses of specific businesses. But the point I'm getting at though is that Nintendo's going to try and keep that at $300 because of supply and demand, because they're making a lot of money off it. But at the same time, though, if they really are going to sell so many not Wii U's, but Nintendo Switches when they come out, there's probably going to be a good chance that maybe everybody will eventually get their Switch. But at the same time, though, maybe they might print so many of them that once they sell out of those and everybody's got one pretty much. Or maybe they might not necessarily print even more of them for a while, because again, if they sell, I mean, especially if so many people get them, then what might happen is there might be still such a huge supply of them, because people are still buying them, that people might buy more than one and try and sell them on eBay for a quick buck or something like that. With the Nintendo mini NESs, the classic Nintendos, for example, that people were Which I still, like, okay, no offense, but I still don't understand why people bought those. Like, I mean, if people already had the games and they, like, especially in NES, like, you know, why would you want to spend $300 on it? But, anyways, and not only that, but, you know, I mean, okay, they re-released them with 60, so yeah, that was more fair, but well, what I'm trying to say, though, is, like, you know, even when that console came out, you know, they only printed so many of them, and then they waited a while, and then they sold them again. I don't know why they decided to do that. Maybe, like, to control the supply and demand, because they knew that more people would want it, and they knew that people would talk about it because they didn't have it. And then people would go ranting on the internet about, like, how, you know, stuff like that would work. But, anyways, but the way I look at it, the major point that I'm making with this, though, is that if all this is true, that the Switch is going to sell very well, and some people don't necessarily get it, it might actually be even longer before they actually print even more of them, because, again, you know, Nintendo might be printing like maybe 2 million of them or 1.5 million of them, but who's to really say that, you know, if, like, let's say that they print them and then there's another huge wave of them, who knows from the time when they run out now how long that next wave is going to take. It might take them even longer than that, and then we have to wait like maybe 3 more months or something like that until they release another wave of them, and then by then people are probably already selling them and trying to get even more money, and then maybe the price goes up even further. I mean, it's confusing because, like, you got all these things that are going on at once, all these multiple things, but, like, you know, it could be it could be ridiculous, because, like, if a console sells so well and it takes so long for the shipment to eventually come back out, you know, I mean, because, again, we don't know the exact numbers, how many copies Nintendo is going to print and how many they're going to sell, like, within the first week, first day. Maybe they'll sell out immediately, you know, I don't know. But even though the pre-orders, you know, sold out pretty quickly, but the way I look at it, if we were to take into consideration that we have to really think about these things, like, you know, if you're going to try and get a Nintendo Switch now, try and get it as soon as possible, because if they do sell out, who knows when the next shipment's going to come out, and who knows that maybe in that time that it takes for them to print it out from here until they re-release the next wave of them, maybe the price will have gone up so high that maybe, and then after the next shipment, maybe you might even have to pay even more, because Nintendo could, you know, maybe what would they originally started out with $300 would now be $350 instead. You know, Nintendo has done that before, and Sony and Microsoft have done that before, but like with different prices, and it's just supply and demand, sure, but at the same time, it's like a combination of like scalpers and the company themselves in some aspects, because it's a business thing, and it's really long and confusing. But again, you know, just to make a long, confusing story short, you know, get your Nintendo Switch if you're trying to get one as soon as possible, because you might be shocked that if you have to wait longer, the price might have gone up even higher because of scarcity. Again, even though they're going to have like 1.5 million of them flying around, but you never know. You never know what's going to really happen. It's all just estimation, and as of March 3rd, we'll really see what does happen. So again, if you like these kind of videos, comment, rate, subscribe, favorite, share. If you like Sun and Moon, Pokemon, you know, I'm making tutorials for that too. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you have a great day, everybody.